Yo, it is Friday, my dudes. I'm reading Twitter right now, and the government has officially reopened. It's good news. Good news, folks. It's Friday night here on the East Coast, Atlanta, 10:22 p.m. We got Inidium playing. What's up, W man? Good to see you, man. Folks, I didn't realize the government was shut down here in the US until like 2 weeks after it was shut down. I'm glad to hear it's back. It's been a long time it's almost been like a month, I think, without the government. I would have never thought I'd be alive during that time. Folks, we got Princess by Soder. Hope you're out there having a good Friday night. Same here. I've found my quality of my psyche has vastly improved now that I just kind of stay away from politics and stay away from the ever ongoing right and left game. But hey, man, I'm glad you're enjoying the vibes. All right, we got the Lush Lo-Fi playlist. Yeah, man, so big screen actually has like a tucked away camera feature under, let me see, it's under tools in the camera tab, and you can kind of select different cameras, like a POV camera or sort of a dolly camera that floats around. It's kind of a cool feature. I actually heard they're updating big screen to like a new version at the end of the month. It's adding a bunch of new features. I'm pretty excited for that, especially for this stream. Folks, it is Friday, 10:30 p.m. here on the East Coast, Atlanta. We got flunked this semester. Welcome to the stream, Scuffed. Big screen is great. It's super trippy, like working in what your brain normally thinks is sort of a standard LCD screen, like a monitor. And then of course your brain realizes that you're actually in virtual reality in some weird, but albeit pretty attractive modern room. It's sort of a trip. It's like a meta VR. Folks, we got evenings. Back in the sort of the main office that we have for different Disrupt stuff or web design stuff, a couple coworkers and me, I would sometimes just go in VR chat, big screen, and continue my day at the desk. while everyone else was in real life. Definitely got some weird looks, but my productivity actually went up a lot because there's no real distractions inside big screen. That's an interesting point. What do you mean by when it becomes dead? What's up, that guy? Good to see you, my man. Oh, right, I got you. Like if everyone left VR, yeah. I'm sure that's what, I guess, kind of happened in the 90s and sort of the previous waves of VR. But I hope we're on like the last sort of wave of VR where this one is the one that takes off, you know? I can feel it in my bones. If you're fine with getting ASMR'd by a 21-year-old male from East Atlanta, then I guess sure, this is ASMR. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think the headsets definitely need to get a lot better before people are comfortable wearing them, you know, like in public and at the airport. almost feel like Oculus VR headsets are like iPhones, and HTC headsets are like Androids. From the outside, like, if you've never used a smartphone, they kind of both look the same, but on the inside, they definitely differ in that sense. Folks, it is 10:41 p.m. here on the East Coast, Atlanta. Thanks for joining into the flow. Hope you're out there straight chilling, straight working, or just relaxing. For one, I'm going to go make a salad real quick. Keep it cool. I had a fantastic time throwing salad into a bowl. It was great times. Even developing for Oculus is like, compared to HTC and Steam VR, it's such a pain, man. I remember I was doing something last year, one of the VR experiences we created for the sort of Disrupt studio. And I was trying to reach out to Oculus, like, the SDK is not working. And them being a big organization, a big corporation, it's very tough to kind of get feedback from a developer perspective. It definitely reminded me of like trying to build an iPhone app or a Windows app. It's interesting. Folks, we're keeping the vibe chill tonight. We got Looking at the Moon. That's very true. I think Valve has been in the game a lot longer as well, so I'll give Oculus a pass. I always forget they're such a young company. They're still trying to figure it out, like we all are. Folks, we got 6 a.m. by Joe Corfield. What's good, Jonah? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, it's an interesting sort of take Oculus tried to kind of inject money into the developer industry and then create exclusivity within their platform. I think it helped in the short term, but in the long term, it's a little harder for people to pick a headset because one game may not work right out of the box with another game that they see advertised on TV. It's interesting. Jonah, the future of women's cricket is virtual reality. That's rad, dude. How did she take to VR? I've just noticed personally that any girl I've tried to introduce to VR, there's like an innate hesitation, I think. It's always funny. Cyberpunk aesthetic. Yeah, I feel like VR is the closest we have to actual cyberpunk. Perhaps we're in the early days of the cyberpunk transition. What is it, 2079? Is that the game coming out? So we gotta get 50 years to figure it out. Especially with other people. Like, that blows my mind. That just, 20 years ago, AIM chat rooms were sort of new. Maybe it was 30 years. But now we're literally inhabiting the same place through wires with other people. It's crazy. What's up, Chispy? Good to see you, man. Yeah, no, I agree. We're definitely there. I think like 5 years, we'll have photorealistic VR that actually runs well and computers can handle it. pasture, man. We're like living in a time where corporate Twitter accounts are funnier than most people on Twitter. It's an interesting time to be alive. So I've never actually heard of the subreddit Futurology, but I just pulled it up. I'm digging it. It's pretty much exactly what I'm into, so thanks for sharing. So I think what would ultimately transition us into full-on cyberpunk would be wearable technology. Because like right now we're like almost in full cyberpunk, but we're still disconnected via the screen. Like we're still, I call it the bent neck generation. Like we're all bending our necks to look at these screens. I think when we can actually look normal, continue our day, but also be connected through, like, of course, glasses, or, I mean, I guess the watches are a little more integrated, but then we will reach the full cyberpunk potential of humanity, for better and worse. Transcendence hypothesis. Never heard of that. How's that? Folks, we're bringing up the vibe a little bit with Bridges by one of my favorite artists, Charisma. Did you know that in certain states, the police force has a crime score that determines how likely someone is to commit a crime? I did not know that. That is both terrifying and exciting. I say exciting because hopefully, I mean, in theory, it would reduce future crimes if certain people have shown that they cannot uphold functioning in society. Hand, I think there's a huge difference sometimes between what people internally think and what they externally show, you know? And it's very hard to gauge someone's psyche if they are purposefully covering it up or not even aware of it. That's where a credit system or a point system like in China, I don't know if it would actually work in the long run, besides being abused. Report is one of those movies that is always mentioned, but I've never seen it. I need to put it on the list. Folks, it is 11:02 p.m. here on the East Coast, Atlanta. Playing through Canyon Walls, discussing behavior modification and future technology. Yeah, Jose, I don't know. I wonder how much people can actually modify behavior, now that I think about it. Oh God, I can't even imagine advertising with eye tracking. I hope it doesn't go down the dystopian path of you have to keep your eyes open and watch this ad, you know, in order to skip it. It'd be absolutely terrible. This is true, man. We're going with the flow, seeing where the conversation heads. You know, speaking of that, I think ramen noodles are going to be the staple food of the future. Chispy, you're just a master modder down here. Have you guys ever heard of, what's his face? He's a prominent speaker in the 70s and sort of the, I guess it'd be the third wave of VR. But he would discuss sort of the ability for VR to be used as a way to share thoughts, to market an artist's thoughts, because it's the first time that someone can actually jump into what the artist envisions in a full 360-degree environment. And he was talking about that, you know, in the 70s, when it was very early tech. It's interesting. Keeping the vibe chill with Charisma, Emerald Pools. Behavioral changes happen over generations. You hit the nail on the head. It's almost like the technology we have now only amplifies the behavior. But I wonder if it's actually changing the core of our behavior, or if it's only amplifying it so that we see more of it. Yeah, there definitely have to be like a blocker to peer into someone's mind. I almost think of it as like if an aspiring artist in the future wants people to enter their mind, they now actually have the ability to create an experience that their mind's eye sees, and they can market that experience so that other people can jump in. Same way a director or a novelist puts their mind's ideas onto a medium. Now they're just no longer restrained by words or film. Welcome to the stream, Bartleby, and welcome to the Pioneer VR Circle. Folks, that was Emerald Pools by Charisma. Next up, we got Big Sky, 11:10 p.m. here on the East Coast, Atlanta. Yeah, I could agree with that, Chispy. I'd say it'd be almost like a mix of mixed reality, so overlaid onto our world, augmented reality for day-to-day stuff, utilitarian, office jobs, construction jobs, etc. Whereas VR could be more entertainment. And of course being some sort of device that could switch between the two seamlessly. perhaps we'll always have the ability to turn off the devices to keep our privacy. But I definitely think there'll be like a huge transition period between when everyone sort of has these glasses that can record everything 24/7. We're going to see a lot of celebrities and even normal people that may not have their missteps recorded without those headsets, and now everything will be recorded. There's going to be a huge transition period where we all sort of realize that, hey, no one's perfect, we all fuck up, because everything will be recorded. Folks, Big Sky by Charisma. We're keeping the flow going with Flow by Charisma. That's an interesting thought, Chispy. I think there'll definitely be some people that lose their connection to reality at times when we are even more immersed than we are now. But I like to think there'll always be a movement, even if it's a small movement, of people that spread the idea of disconnecting from technology occasionally to recenter the brain, whether that be through nature or meditation. And archive.org for the VR world. That'd be interesting, almost like a time machine for stepping back into previous experiences that came before. So I almost look at like the gauge for future technology as being guided by, of course, sort of the two main biological needs, food and reproduction. Once those are met, then of course we have the desire for beauty, relationship, art, money, wealth. So I think looking at our previous sort of steps for building cities and technological advancements, it's almost like a map for where we may head in the future. folks, that was Flow by Charisma. Next up, we got Bye Bye by Onra. 11:16 p.m. Hope you're finding your flow. Allowing technology to support our very heartbeats. That's an interesting thought. So this is strictly sci-fi speaking right now. What if we could find a way to continue the body when it wants to shut down? It's almost like we can already do that, in a very controlled environment in a hospital when people are put on life support. But imagine a world where the life support is then integrated into a way that allows said life to continue. What would be the implications of that? I, for one, would not want that. That would be absolutely terrible. Bringing in some 80s vibes tonight with Onra's 2018 album, Nobody Has to Know. Uploaded to the mainframe. Yeah, there's certainly that sort of overhanging, impending doom that I think really makes us better people, knowing that our time here is just temporary. But on the other hand, that would assume that people are nice simply because they'll die. I personally think it maybe goes a little deeper than that, in that you're nice to your fellow man because your fellow man is you. Secretly by Onra. Welcome to the stream, Ryan. Good to see you. Folks, we got Let Me Fantasize coming up next. 11:22 p.m. here on the East Coast. Yeah, no, I feel you, dumb man. I'm sure everyone has different things they strive for to be nice or to be a better person. All depends on the individual's upbringing. If we are all on a trajectory towards literal godhood, then so too will our morality. Very well said, Gisby. It almost reminds me of sort of the Tibetan Buddhist philosophy of attaining Buddhahood within a lifetime by removing sort of the cyclical existences that each human has, whether it be addictions or hedonism or even worrying about the future and past. It's almost the idea that once those can be observed, that is when an individual reaches enlightenment. Life's a beach, and then you surf. Folks, that was Let Me Fantasize by Onra. Next up we got Love Triangle. Keeping it cool. had to Google Translate to make sure I was understanding correctly. But yeah, no, I definitely agree, man. It's so easy to forget that it's so temporary. Like, even our bodies are not the same bodies we were inhabiting even, I think it's like a year ago. Our atoms or whatever completely regenerate. It's all just passing. Shoo. Fresh Vibes by Onra. That was Love Triangle. Next up we got Wish I Could. Intelligence can be programmed. That's an interesting one. Can you explain? Artificial intelligence. I get you. So, question about that. Do you think the ability to discern between our human values of right and wrong or morality can be programmed into an AI? Ooh, we got the jam coming up next. Keeping the vibes upbeat and chill. So, algorithmic precision, that's interesting. I guess I would assume that moral decisions are simply algorithms. Yeah, I'd agree with that it's more innate. I remember reading or listening to an interesting discussion by some philosopher where he was saying that almost the moral compass can be almost improved the older we get by making the right decisions, so to speak. Just like You can improve your body by working out. You can also improve the moral brain. The improvement coming when you sort of sort your life out, of course. The Jordan Peterson famous quote of cleaning your room, cleaning your environment, cleaning your psyche, whereas your moral compass will sort of clear up. I find that an interesting viewpoint. And my hope is that when that compass is operating correctly, then, like you say, Jose, the transition from death will be much easier because you won't be weighed down by regrets in life or attachment to the physical world. Folks, it is 11:33 p.m. here on the East Coast, Atlanta. We got Not Long Ago by Onra coming right up. Created in God's own image. Yeah, I would agree with that, man. It's like we're almost programming AI to be God in a way. I wonder if the eventual, whatever you want to call it, singularity will almost be like the Godhead. In the sense that it is the ultimate collection of all of our human understanding. But not only that's the collection that we can then communicate with and converse with. Almost like a man-made God figure. Of course, not a God figure in the way that we bow down to it, but sort of using that framework as a way for us to view the physical creation of AI. Yeah, I remember reading something, might have been the same article, W-Man. I think it was that the AI was like speaking to itself, or that it was like bugging out and sort of going against the programming in a way, and they had to shut it down. Could be a different article though, I don't know. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaur. Dinosaur destroys man. Woman inherits the earth. Folks, we got Wait a Minute by Onra. Welcome to the stream, Matthew. Unfortunately, I'm just chilling in my own little private room right now, but thanks for joining. So you guys know how we almost have those decisions sometimes in life where it's like, okay, I can enter this situation and do, like you mentioned, X, or I can do Y, or I can do a third option or a fourth option. I wonder if that ability to sort of contemplate those other options is possible with current AI. I think that's the differentiating factor of intelligence and just sort of pre-programmed AI that we see now. We got blue and green coming up. AI's perfect objectivity is going to be directly marred by humanity's flawed subjectivity. That's interesting. So that almost hits on like the human experience, like the consciousness of the passing moment that we're all experiencing, the perfect present moment, being here now, with the sort of recognition that yesterday happened and tomorrow will happen and things will be different. I have serious doubts if that consciousness can be replicated. That's good warning, Jose. It's almost like the differentiating factor between black and white, or gray, is in itself subjectivity, if I'm understanding correctly. part will be, I think you would be locked up if we were in Martin Luther times back in the, whatever, 1500s. But yeah, no, I think I agree with that. It's almost like we paint God in our own image, whether it be symbols. But I also think that's sort of changing in our current day. I think the discussion of God is much more open than even it was, 10 years ago, which I dig. So lately I've been sort of digging the idea of viewing the binary as perfect in itself. The way that the world sort of tends to go on, there's good, there's bad, there's evil people, and there's great people. Some of those evil people do good things, and some of those evil people do terrible things. Some of those good people do bad things, and some of those good people do good things. But that in itself is perfect because that's how the game is played. That's how the world works. That being said, I think it's sort of up to the individual to maybe recognize that, but also strive for the good. Because the bad usually leads to terrible life here on our limited time on Earth. It's almost like the ability for us to even discuss order and chaos, or for us to recognize order and chaos, is in itself the sort of third option, like the observer's option, where we're actually able to make decisions and feel those decisions, feel the impacts of those decisions. direct word from our sponsors, ramen noodles, that okay. Yep, we have the go-ahead, folks. Very special segment coming up right now. We got Terrence McKenna, great thinker from the 70s, discussing AI. This is a good one, folks. This is a good one.
Vast amounts of the world that we call human is already under the control of artificial intelligences, including very vital parts of our political and social dynamo. For example, how much tin, bauxite, and petroleum is extracted, at what rate it enters the various distribution systems, at what rate tankers are filled in Abu Dhabi, at what rate oil refineries are run in Richmond. The world price of gold and platinum every day is set, in fact, by machines. Inventory control has grown far too complex for any human being to understand or wish to understand. And in fact, and this is a critical juncture, we have reached the place where we no longer design our machines in quite the way we once did. Now we define their operational parameters for a machine, which then attacks the problem and solves it by methods and insights available to it, but not available to us. So the architecture of the latest chips are actually, at the micro-physical level, the decisions as to how that chip should be organized is a decision made entirely by machines. Human engineers set the performance specs, but they don't care how this output is reached. Every day up in Silicon Valley, there are people who go happily to work, laboring on what they call the great work. And the great work, as defined by these people, is the handing over of the drama of intelligent evolution to entities sufficiently intelligent to appreciate that drama. And they all are what we might mistake for home appliances if we weren't paying attention. In the first section...
Absolutely great thinker. Folks, we got one more song for you tonight, A Long Engagement by Nicodemus. Brady. Good to see you, my man. Yeah, I definitely think we're in the last years of Silicon Valley. Don't get me wrong, they brought a lot of innovation, but I mean, even looking at the housing prices, it's impossible for startups to survive there. I think the next Silicon Valley is the world. We're now at the point where anyone with an idea can create that idea with very little funding. Silicon Valley is everywhere. That's very true. The creators created the technology that made themselves obsolete. A Long Engagement by Nicodemus. Folks, it has been great chilling with you all, discussing the important stuff, the stuff beyond our thoughts, beyond our small little worlds. I hope you guys have a good weekend. For one, I'm going to chill. Folks, I was talking, I think my mic cut out, but anyways, thank you for joining the stream. It's been fantastic talking with you all, discussing the deeper topics that go beyond our little worlds. Hope you all have a great weekend. Correction every Tuesday and Thursday. Peace, guys.